How do everyone, and welcome to another update on the mountain project for my 1960s themed Lionel display layout. Let's give a little background on the mountain first. After carving the mountain out of Lowe's Greenguard, I coated the entire thing with ultra premium Valspar satin finish, and I picked this up at Lowe's. And I don't know if the camera is going to focus on this or not, but the color is called Notre Dame. Okay, so first we coated the entire mountain with that, and then I sprinkled some green ground foam on it, and the ground foam is Seamaster ground cover, dark green. It's made by Walters. It's also made in China, which I'm not a big fan of. When I was sprinkling this stuff on, it tended to come out in clumps. It's a very finely ground material, and I also noticed when I was brushing it around after the paint had dried, it gives off a very fine dust, and I don't really like that. That being said, let's move on to the next thing. This morning I painted the tunnel portals, and I made those a darker shade of gray in the mountain. And what I did there, let me see if I can find or have this. I got the plastic cup and I put some of the Notre Dame gray in it, and then I had some black poster craft paint that I probably picked up at I'm calling it Wally World, but it's Walmart. So I just kept mixing the black in with the gray until I got a darker shade that I was happy with. So we painted the tunnel portals with that. And then also what I had done was I painted the pond on top of the mountain blue. And for that, this is another thing I picked up at Walmart. It's hopefully you can see it, Apple Barrel Turquoise. It's an acrylic paint for crafts and hobbies, and I wanted it to have, I don't know, somewhere between reality and the toy train look, and I think that gives it to me. You can see here the stream comes down along a slope on the mountain. It crosses a relatively flat area, and then it starts winding its way down the mountainside. There's a cut back, and what your imagination can lead you to believe are some small waterfalls. And also, because I've never seen a regular old tunnel that didn't have water coming out of it on the ground, we put this in here, and this is where the upper level, the trestle level track goes through this portal, and that water also winds its way down the mountainside. And just a little detail, I don't want to get too silly and make it like a high rail type thing. I want it to have the toy train look, so I left a spot unpainted with blue here to look like a rock protruding out, and the water's running around the sides of it. Okay, we've covered those two items, and I'm going to show you here's a close-up of a rock formation on the left side of one of the tunnel portals. And while I had applied a base coat of Notre Dame gray to it, I wanted to do something to enhance the look of it. So let me go over here and show you that. This is another paint bought in Walmart, Apple Barrel, called Country Tan. So what I did with that is I have it squirted on the styrofoam plate, and I get kind of a stiff paintbrush here and dab it in there a little bit, and then I go over to a paper plate and dab the brush on it, because I don't want to load the brush with a lot of paint. So what I'm attempting to do here is to dry brush another color, and I'm just going to pick this area here because maybe you'll see it well. I'm just lightly brushing it on. And in some places, the ground foam is still there, and I'm catching the brush on that, so it's making this tan almost like a charcoal color, and it's giving some interesting variations in the rocks. And what I should point out on the high rail layout, when I was doing the rock formations, I always made a thin wash of let's say black and let it run into the cracks in the mountainside, but I don't want to do that here. I just want some color variation, so I'm actually putting the darker color on the high points of what are the rocks, whereas on the high rail layout you would be putting the lighter color on the high points on the rocks. So the mountain's coming along, and I just decided to work on what is actually the scenery part of it, and I still have to let this dry, flip it over, and I want to paint the bottom and also the back on it. So I think it's coming along very well. It's turning out again in that area between an actual scale model and a toy train type thing. Somewhere in the middle is where I want it. Somewhere in the middle is where it's turning out. So that concludes this update, and as the project progresses, we'll give you further updates. Bye-bye for now.